But this is it can happen anywhere, anytime. There's no guarantee, is there? In this material world. Padam, padam, yadvi, padam, danger every step. Even if you think you're in the most safest country in the world, or you get the safest job in the world, anything could happen. So therefore, Lord Chaitanya, he descended in different ages. The Lord incarnates. So 539 years ago, Lord Chaitanya appeared in West Bengal. Some devotees may remember 1986 was the 500th anniversary. We had a special book printed that we distributed at that time. So next year it'll be 540. So anyway, he came to teach the Yuga Dharma, which is the chanting of the holy names. He came for different reasons, and perhaps we'll discuss some of those today. He wanted to experience what his devotees experience in serving him. One devotee said to him that although you're Bhagavan, you own everything, there's something we have you don't have, and that's love for you. So he wanted to experience that. Therefore he appeared. Although he's Krishna himself, he appeared in the mood of a devotee. And Krishna's inconceivable potencies, then he can do that. He can forget he's God and remember he's God at the same time. So this is inconceivable because we can't conceive of that. And he hands over the management of things to his various energies, who interplay at various times according to his moods. And he wanted to also have this mood of Srimati Radharani, which is of compassion for the living entities. It's said that Radharani has always got one eye on Krishna and one eye on the living entities. She's always compassionate. So Lord Chaitanya, he came as Maha Vadanyaya Avatar, the most merciful incarnation, which means that Jagannath Priya or Hoksha, I think it was Jagannath Priya gave a class this morning, but Hoksha just said that Lord Chaitanya doesn't blink, he only blinks when the devotees do something wrong, so he doesn't see it. Lord Jagannath, is it? So he must be doing a lot of blinking in Kali Yuga. But the Lord is more keen to benefit us than we're keen to take his benefits, his benedictions. And that's good for us. Because sometimes in Kali Yuga, we don't even know what is good for us, right? Sometimes a child doesn't know what's good for them, and the parents try to teach them, don't do that, you'll get hurt. Just like Prabhupada's young son, many years ago, he wanted to touch the fan on the table, and he stopped him from doing it, but finally he let him touch it, and then he got hurt. And he says, oh, you want to touch again? No. So this is the situation we're in, that we suffer in this world, and the Lord doesn't want us to suffer. He's saying, oh, don't do that, come back to me. But sometimes we don't listen, and then we still continue to accept the suffering in this material body, in this material world. So today we'll be speaking about how the Lord attracts the living entity by his transcendental qualities, his pastimes, by his different activities, by his characteristics. And so there'll be 3 bhajans we'll be singing today. Hopefully, if time allows, we'll be having Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Doya Kuramori, which is called Savarna Gaura Padmi or something like that. Nobody really remembers the name. It's quite a long title, so they usually just recite the first line. That's what they call it. And then we'll chant Gouranga Baliti Habe. You can sing that one, Mangala Vaishnav. Okay, you can sing. And then we'll have Jeev Jago and or Aranadaya Kirtan Part 1 and 2. And also we'll have a special recitation of Shikshastakam. Okay, hands up who's lined up for singing Shikshastakam today. One. Ram Lakshman, is that true? Just Avani? But it'll be up on the screen anyway, so Avani can lead it and everyone can join in. And then we'll have Evening Arti and Prasad. Yeah, that's true. We'll have Prasad as well. So we'd just now like to invite Atoksha Prabhu to come and sing this. Shyamasundar Prabhu is also going to give a talk, possibly about cows, but Lord Chaitanya will be in there somewhere. Or maybe a bit Lord Chaitanya and cows will be in there somewhere. So for those of you who don't know Shyamasundar Prabhu, then he's very experienced and very expert in the science of Goraksha, cow protection. Agriculture, but specifically cow protection. He's got a lot of experience with that. He travels around the world teaching people how to look after the cows and how to train bulls. And this is a very important service. So today the day's had a nice new outfit. And there'll be part 2 of the outfit on Sunday. There'll be an additional part getting added to it on Sunday. Okay, so Shri Kodnitai Mahaprasad Ki, Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Ki, Shri Gaura Purnima Mahamahotsava Ki. Want me to play harmonium?
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Daya Karo More Chaitanya Prabhu Daya Karo More Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Daya Karo More Karo More Toma Bina Ke Dayalu Jagat Sansare Yalo Jagat Toma Bina Ke Dayalu Jagat Sansare Jagat Sansare Patita Pavana Hetu Tavaravatara Patita Pavana Hetu Tavaravatara Savaravachara Mosama Patita Prabhu Napoiveya Prabhu Napoiveya Mosama Patita Prabhu Napoiveya Napoiveya Aha Prabhu Nityananda Premananda Suki Haha Prabhu Nityananda Premananda Suki Premananda Suki Ripabalo Kana Koro Ami Boro Duki Koro Ami Boro Duki Ripabalo Kana Koro Ami Boro Duki Doya Koro Sita Patu Advaita Gosai Doya Koro Sita Pati Advaita Gosai Tava Kripa Bale Pai Chaitanya Nitai Tava Kripa Bale Pai Chaitanya Nitai Gaura Prema Maya Tanu Pandita Gadhara Gaura Prema Maya Tanu Pandita Gadhara Srinivasa Hare Dasa Doyara Sakara Srinivasa Hare Dasa Doyara Sagara Daya Aha Swarupsanatana Rupa Raguna Aha Swarupsanatana Rupa Raguna Bhatta Juga Sri Jiva Prabhu Lokana Bhatta Juga Sri Jiva Prabhu Lokana Prabhu Lokana Daya Karo Shri Acharya Prabhu Srinivas Daya Karo Shri Acharya Prabhu Srinivas Prabhu Srinivas Ramachandra Sangamage Narottamada Ramachandra Sangamage Narottamada Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Daya Karamole Koma Vina Kedayalu Jagat Samsare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Jaya Kodanitai Maya Poshashi Kodanitai Maya Poshashi Jaya Maya Poshashi Maya Poshashi Maya Poshashi Jaya Maya Poshashi Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Gaura Premanandi Haribo. So I'll just get my Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki. So we had a class this morning, and in the class the point was made that it's rare that we have Lord Chaitanya himself, and there's a rotation of 1,000 yugas in one day of Lord Brahma, and only one of those Kali yugas Lord Chaitanya appears. The other Kali yugas, Gaura Narayan appears, and he gives Vaikuntha Prem. But we get the special blessings from Lord Chaitanya that we can develop Braj Bhakti, Raganuga Bhakti, Ragamaka Bhakti. Lord Chaitanya is offering it. And so we have to understand to some degree, well, what is it he's offering in the first place? Thank you. What is so special about Lord Chaitanya? We all missed Lord Chaitanya 500 years ago. He vacated the entire universe. We missed that one. We come after. But still, it's a very special message we're getting. Not just liberation, but to the topmost, Goloka Vrindavan. So I was reading this morning, if this doesn't collapse on me. Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhaktarinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhaktarinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So reading from Chaitanya Charitamrita, this is the childhood pastimes of Lord Chaitanya, which I was asked to speak about. And I'll just get back to the beginning. Bear with me. So a special day, special incarnation. And you're in a special place. You're in the temple of Vrindavan, in front of special deities, Shishikodanitaya Maya Poshashi. For some reason, they've decided to come to Lesmahego and keep an eye on us. Sometimes the Lord's mercy is causeless and inconceivable. Okay, so there's a lot of pastimes actually. Okay. So, Jagannath Mishra said to his wife Sachi, "What are these strange footprints on the floor in the dust?" And they couldn't figure out what it was. And then Jagannath Mishra decided, Jagannath Mishra and Sachi Mata are the mother and father of Lord Chaitanya. So they concluded, or Jagannath Mishra anyway, that the Shalagram Shila had been running around and he'd left these footmarks in the dust. So they were... Jagannath Mishra said, certainly Child Krishna is with the Shalagram Shila. Certainly Child Krishna is with the Shalagram Shila. Taking his childhood form, he is playing within the room. So that was his conclusion. So obviously he had a lot of faith, to conclude that the Shalagram was running around in a childhood form. Purport by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. When the form of the Lord is carved from wood, stone, or any other element, it is to be understood that the Supreme Personality of God is there. Even logically, we can understand that all material elements are expansions of the energy of the Lord. So the deity of the Lord in the house of a pure devotee can act exactly as he can in his original transcendental personality. So the interesting thing is you can have a shalagram or you can have a deity in your home, but he's only going to behave as Krishna and run around like a child if you're a pure devotee. And there's a story in that regard of one Brahmin. He went away and he said to his son, make sure you feed the deity. And that deity, actually, you can go and see that deity because the deity is frozen. But when the father finally came back, there was no maha. So, and he said, well, the deity ate it, Dad. And he says, so his father didn't believe. He thought he's probably keeping all the maha for himself, I mean, who's ever heard of a deity? So he hid, and his son had a stick, and he was offering. He said, you better eat this, or I'm going to get in big trouble with my father, So the deity started eating, and then his father peeped around, and as his father peeped around, the deity stopped. So that's the difference. If you have a pure devotee in the house, then the deity will behave one way, and if somebody's in the house who's not a pure devotee, then the deity just freezes, And sometimes in the early days when Srila Prabhupada was going around installing deities, the devotees, they weren't so much looking at the deities, they were looking at Srila Prabhupada, looking at the deities. And although they couldn't see that Krishna was there, they could see from looking at Srila Prabhupada that he could see that Krishna was there. So they were more looking at Srila Prabhupada, and Prabhupada's looking at the and they were looking at Srila Prabhupada. So that's how the deities behave differently when a pure devotee is there. While Mother Sachi and Jagannath Mishra were talking, child Nimai woke up and began to cry, and Mother Sachi took him on her lap and allowed him to suck her breast. While Mother Sachi was feeding the child from her breast, she saw on his lotus feet all the marks that were visible on the floor of the room, and she called for Jagannath Mishra. So that's at that point now they're realizing, okay, our son is unusual, somebody special, because everybody thinks their son is special. It says in the Bhagavatam that the mother thinks that the stool of the child is like sandalwood pulp. Oh, everybody else is like, whoa. And the mother's like, oh, yes, sandalwood pulp. But in this case, it was because actually Lord Chaitanya was the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When Jagannath Mishra saw the wonderful marks on the soul of his son, he became very joyful, and he privately called for Nilambar Chakravarti. When Nilambar Chakravarti saw those marks, he smilingly said, formerly, I ascertained all this by astrological calculation and noted it in writing. There are 32 bodily marks that symptomize a great personality, and I see all those marks on the body of this child. There are 32 bodily symptoms of a great personality. 5 of his bodily parts are large, 5 fine, 7 reddish, 6 raised, 3 small, 3 broad, and 3 grave. So if you just want to check whether you're a special personality, you can have a look in the mirror. And the 5 large parts are the nose. I've Could be with a chance here, actually. Arms, chin, eyes, and knees. The 5 fine parts are the skin, fingertips, teeth, hair on the body, and hair on the head. The 7 reddish parts are the eyes, soles, palms, palate, nails, and upper and lower lips. The 6 raised parts are the chest, the shoulders, the nails, the nose, waist, and mouth. The 3 small parts are the neck, the thighs, and the male organ. The 3 broad parts are the waist, forehead, and chest. The 3 grave parts are the navel, voice, and existence. Altogether, these are the 32 symptoms of a great personality. This is a quotation from Samudrika. So that's called Niyamagraha. No, it's not called Niyamagraha. It's called Nigroda Paramandala. Nigroda Paramandala. If you have Nigroda Paramandala, then it means you've got those symptoms. And interestingly, when Shukadeva Goswami was being pestered by some village boys, and they were doing all kinds of abusive and rude things to him. And Shukadeva Goswami, a 16-year-old naked boy, he's just walking through, and the kids are making fun of him and throwing things at him. And suddenly he comes into the assembly where the sages are all ready to start speaking to Maharaj Pariksha, Buddhani Buddhi Kamani. So they're saying, well, there's so many scriptures, and it's going to take so long. We need someone that can just give the essence. And then as this boy walks through, all the sages, they all start offering respect and offering the Vyasasan to sit on to speak to the king. And then the little boys that had been pestering Shukadev, they realize, uh-oh, and they all scatter, and they can see immediately Nigroda Paramandala. They can see the configuration of the body, the arms, the chest, the eyes, immediately. This is a great personality. And so that's why he was the one that was chosen to speak to Maharaj Pariksha. This baby has all the symptoms of Lord Narayan on his palms and soles. He will be able to deliver all the 3 worlds. Anybody here in one of the 3 worlds? Jai. Okay, so he's going to deliver you. This child will preach the Vaishnav cult and deliver both his maternal and paternal families. Mahotsava Kala Sabha Bolaha Brahmana Dina Bhala Karabi Nama Karana. I propose to perform a name-giving ceremony. We should observe a festival, Mahotsava, and call for the Brahmins because today is very auspicious. So the day that Lord Chaitanya appeared is auspicious, and the day that you realize who Lord Chaitanya is auspicious. They say the 2 most important days in your life are the day you were born, and then the day you realize why you were born. They're the 2 most important days. So in Krishna consciousness for us, the appearance day of an avatar is very important, and also the appearance of our understanding of the avatar and our relationship with him is also important. So they realized that this little baby was a great personality, and so it was very auspicious. See how well timed that was? That's it. Try and do that again. The next time I say something profound, if you can make that noise. Okay. So giving a child a particular name is called Dasa Vida Samskara, and we observe a festival. In the future, this child will protect and maintain all the world. For this reason, he will be called Vishvambara, yeah, maintainer. After hearing Nilambara Chakravarti's prediction, Sachimata and Jagannath Mishra observed the name-giving festival in great joy, inviting all the Brahmins and their wives. After some days, the Lord began to crawl on his knees, and he caused various wonderful things to be seen. The Lord caused all the ladies to chant the holy names of Hare Krishna Maha Mantra on the plea of his crying, and while they chanted, the Lord would smile. So the only way they could get little baby Lord Chaitanya to stop crying was to chant. As soon as he started chanting, then he was okay. As soon as they stopped chanting, he started crying again. So we should be chanting all the time, otherwise Lord Chaitanya is going to be crying. After some days, the Lord began to move his legs and walk. He mixed with other children and exhibited various sports. One day, while the Lord was enjoying his playful sports with the other little children, Mother Sachi brought a dish filled with fused rice and sweetmeats and asked the child to sit down and eat them. But when she returned to her household duties, the child hid from his mother and began to eat dirt. Seeing this, Mother Sachi hastily returned and exclaimed, "What is this? What is this?" She snatched the dirt from the hands of the Lord and inquired why he was eating it. Crying, the child inquired from his mother, "Why are you angry? You've already given me dirt to eat. What is my fault? Fused rice, sweetmeats, and all other eatables are but transformations of dirt. This is dirt, that is dirt. Please consider, where is the difference between them?" So what's that philosophy called? When everything's Maya? Mayavadi. So he's putting forward the Mayavadi philosophy so she can smash it. This body is a transformation of dirt, and the eatables are also a transformation of dirt. Please reflect upon this. You are blaming me without consideration. What can I say? Astonished that the child was speaking Mayavad philosophy, Mother Sachi replied, "Who has taught you this philosophical speculation that justifies eating dirt?" So it's unusual because normally for a child, the child will you give a child sweets, it's not going to start asking, maybe I should eat dirt, or have a whole philosophical. So she's astonished that the child was speaking. Who has taught you this philosophical speculation that justifies eating dirt? Replying to the Mayavad idea of the child philosopher, Mother Sachi said, "My dear boy, if we eat earth transformed into grain, our body is nourished and it becomes strong. But if we eat dirt in its crude state, the body becomes diseased instead of nourished, and thus it is destroyed." In a water pot, which is a transformation of dirt, I can bring water very easily. But if I poured water on a lump of dirt, the lump would soak up the water, and my labor would be useless. The Lord replied to his mother, "Why did you conceal self-realization by not teaching me this practical philosophy in the beginning? Now that I can understand this philosophy, no more shall I eat dirt. Whenever I am hungry, I shall suck your breast and drink your breast milk." After saying this, the Lord, smiling slightly, climbed on the lap of his mother and sucked her breast. Thus, under various excuses, the Lord exhibited his opulences as much as possible in his childhood, and later, after exhibiting such opulences, he hid himself. On one occasion, the Lord ate the food of a Brahmin guest 3 times, and later, in confidence, the Lord delivered the Brahmin from material engagement. So the Brahmin, he was confused because he was offering the food, and Lord Chaitanya kept eating it. And he says, "Well, you're offering it to me, so that's why I'm eating it." And then finally the Brahmin realized, oh, actually Lord Chaitanya is none different from Narayan. And then he revealed to the Brahmin who he actually was. Then he said to the Brahmin, "Don't tell anybody." But he must have told someone, otherwise we wouldn't know the story. In his childhood, the Lord was taken away by 2 thieves outside his home. The Lord, however, got up on the shoulders of the thieves, and while they were thinking they were safely carrying the child to rob his ornaments, the Lord misled them, and thus instead of going to their own home, the thieves came back to the home of Jagannath Mishra. Pretending to be sick, the Lord asked some food from the house of Hiranya and Jagadish on the Ekadashi day. As usual for small children, he learned to play, and with his playmates, he went to the houses of neighboring friends, stealing their eatables and eating them. Sometimes the children fought among themselves. All the children lodged complaints with Sachimata about the Lord's fighting with them and stealing from the neighbors' houses. Therefore, sometimes she used to chastise or rebuke her son. So, like Prabhupada Prana was just mentioning, Krishna is simultaneously aware, Lord Chaitanya is simultaneously aware that he's the Supreme Lord, and at the same time he's not. And that's called a chinta, because it's inconceivable. And Rupa Goswami explains that when Mother Yashoda was chasing after Krishna, Krishna was crying. So if he was really aware that he was the Supreme Lord, then that means his crying was just pretend, which would then undermine the pastime. But if he wasn't aware that he was the Supreme Lord, then that undermines his all cognizance and omniscience, his opulences. So Rupa Goswami explains it's a chinta, it's inconceivable. He's simultaneously aware and not aware, so that he can enjoy the pastimes, so that he can be just a person, just a child, and just interact as a person. And then when he has to, then he assumes his godhead, and sometimes he reveals who he is. And we see that interwoven in the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. Sometimes he's absorbed in just being a devotee, and sometimes he becomes absorbed in being an avatar, like Lord Nrsingadev or Varaha or Lord Ramachandra. So this is the inconceivable, simultaneously aware and not aware potency of Krishna, that he can do that. And he does, his energies are there to facilitate his enjoyment. Whatever is going to heighten his enjoyment, then the energies will be there for that to take place. Satyamata said, why do you steal others' things? Why do you beat the other children? And why do you go inside others' houses? What do you not have in your own house? Thus rebuked by his mother, the Lord would go in anger to a room and break all the pots within it. Then Satyamata would take her son on her lap and pacify him, and the Lord would be very much ashamed, admitting his faults. It was like the perfect, Chaitanya Charitamrita is like the perfect, we get a perfect picture of living relationships, how the devotees have relationships and interact with each other, and how the Lord interacts with his devotees. It's like the perfect picture of how that takes place. Once the child Chaitanya Mahaprabhu chastised his mother with his soft hand, and his mother pretended to faint. Seeing this, the Lord began to cry. The neighboring ladies told him, dear child, please bring a coconut from somewhere, and then your mother will be cured. He then went outside the house and immediately brought 2 coconuts. All the ladies were astonished to see such wonderful activities. Sometimes the Lord would go with other children to bathe in the Ganges, and the neighboring girls would also come to worship various demigods. When the girls engaged in worshipping the different demigods after bathing in the Ganges, the young Lord would come there and sit down among them. Addressing the girls, the Lord would say, worship me, and I shall give you a good husband and good benedictions. The Ganges and Goddess Durga are my maidservants. What to speak of other demigods? Even Lord Shiva is my servant. Without permission of the girls, the Lord would take the sandalwood pulp and smear it on his body, and put the flower garlands on his neck, and snatch and eat all the offerings of sweetmeats, rice, and bananas. All the girls became very angry at the Lord for this behavior. Dear Nimai, they told him, you are just like our brother in our village relationship. Therefore, it does not behoove you to act like this. Don't take our paraphernalia for worship of the demigods. Don't create a disturbance in this way. The Lord replied, my dear sisters, I give you the benediction that your husbands will be very handsome. They will be learned, clever, young, and possess abundant wealth and rice. Not only that, but you will each have 7 sons who will all live long lives and be very intelligent. Hearing this benediction from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all the girls were inwardly very happy, but externally, as is natural for girls, they rebuked the Lord under the pretense of anger. When some of the girls fled, the Lord called them in anger and advised them as follows, if you are miserly and do not give me the offerings, every one of you will have an old husband with at least 4 co-wives. Hearing this supposed curse by Lord Chaitanya, the girls, considering that he might know something uncommon or be empowered by demigods, were afraid that his curse might be effective. The girls then brought the offerings before the Lord, who ate them all and blessed the girls to their satisfaction. When this cunning behavior of the Lord with the girls became known to the people in general, it did not create misunderstandings among them. Rather, they enjoyed happiness in these dealings. One day, a girl of the name Lakshmi. Okay, I'll leave it there. So it's just to conclude on that point, it's interesting that although externally it looks like Lord Chaitanya was doing things which would he should be chastised for, or people would be upset with, because the Lord is in the heart, and that pleases the Lord, then everyone is satisfied. If the Lord is satisfied, then everyone's okay, everyone's pleased, although it would not seem that way. And there was a similar thing that happened with Krishna when the Brahmins' wives came to offer him food. The Brahmins themselves refused to offer. Krishna didn't go himself. He sent the cowherd boys. And the Brahmins refused. They didn't even refuse. They just ignored them completely and just carried on doing their puja. And then as soon as the Brahmins' wives said, they didn't just send the food, they went there personally. And so then Krishna said, thank you very much. It's very nice. Now you'll have to go back. And they said, we can't go back. Not now. Our husbands will never forgive us, you know. And Krishna said, no, it's okay. They'll be fine. And exactly the opposite happened, actually. When they did go back, the Brahmins realized that Krishna was the Supreme Lord and that they should also go and make some offering. But they were too afraid of Kamsa. So they were praising their wives. So just as Krishna said, everything will be okay, you just go back. So Krishna arranges everything. And Lord Chaitanya is similar. In his pastimes, it would seem like everyone would be upset in the village by what he was doing, all his cheeky things, naughty things he was doing. But everybody adored him. He was so beautiful and so wonderful that they forgot whatever it was, the mistake apparently that he'd made, and they just had love for him. Jai Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki Jai. Gaura Premanandi.
Shamsundar. Just before Shamsundar gives his talk, actually, Mangala Vaishnava is going to sing one bhajan, Gouranga Balite Hubby. Can you sing it? Yeah? Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's going to sing first, sorry. Yeah, can you play and sing it? So I think we'll read the translation first. If you could put that up, please. When will that opportune moment come to us when there will be shivering of the body as soon as we chant Lord Gouranga's name? While chanting Hare Krishna, when will there be tears in the eyes? When will I obtain the mercy of Lord Nityananda Chandra? When by his mercy will the desire for material enjoyment become very insignificant? When the mind is completely purified, being freed from material anxieties and desires, then I shall be able to understand Vrindavan and the conjugal love of Radha and Krishna, and then my spiritual life will be successful. When shall I be very much eager to study the books left by the 6 Goswamis headed by Srila Rupa Goswami and Srila Raghunath Das Goswami? By their instruction I shall be able to properly understand the loving affairs of Radha and Krishna. My only aspiration is to attain the lotus feet of the 6 Goswamis headed by Srila Rupa Goswami and Srila Raghunath Das Goswami. Narottam Das constantly prays to attain their lotus feet. So this is quite an advanced mood of a devotee. But some devotees have been practicing Krishna consciousness for a long time, so we don't have to stay on the ABC forever. So you okay saying that? I will try
Gouranga balite habe pulaka sharira hare Gouranga balite habe pulaka sharira Hari Hari bolite nayane babanira. Arakabe nitai chande koruna hoibe nitai chande koruna hoibe Arakabe nitai chande koruna hoibe Samsara basana mora kabe tujha habe Samsara Samsara basana mora kabe tujha habes Vishaya chariya habe Shuddha habe man Vishaya Vishaya chariya habe Shuddha habe man Kabe namahera bo Shri Vrindavan Kabe henam hera bo Shri Vrindavan Ruparaguna pade hoibe akuti Ruparaguna pade hoibe akuti Kabe hama bujabo se jugala piriti Kabe nama bujabo se jugala piriti Ruparaguna pade rahu mora Rupa Raghunatha Pade Rahumoras. Prasana koroye sada narotamadas. Prasana koroye sada narotamadas. Gouranga balite abe pulaka sharira. Hare Hare bolite nayane babanira. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare
One of Prabhupada's favorite bhajans.
Hare Krishna. So you may find it a little strange that my theme is cows. Lord Chaitanya, cow protection, and the Sankirtan movement. So how are they all interrelated? Let me get my notes here. There's a very famous verse that we all know in relationship to the appearance of the Lord. Well, there are many point verses. One that comes to my mind, I'll come to the other ones too, but Janma Karma Chime Divyam. And that means that the Lord's birth is not ordinary, but yet it appears ordinary. We've just been hearing that the Lord was a child and he interacted with people as a child. We also hear that his mother was pregnant and people were visiting her during her pregnancy. So that seems quite ordinary. But we also find that Lord Chaitanya, he had a previous life. So his birth, Janma Karma Chime Divyam, Evam Yovari Tatvataha. What's the rest of it? Chakvedeham Puna Janma, Naitimam Etisorjana. That verse captures, you could say, reincarnation. Most people in this world, they don't have a concept of reincarnation, and therefore they're troubled why people suffer. This verse says that Chaktva Deham, giving up this body, Chaktva Deham Purna Janma, you get another body. One little sutra. You give this body, you get another body. So similarly, Lord Chaitanya had a previous body. And what was he in his previous life? What was Lord Chaitanya's previous life? Krishna. And Krishna in his childhood was a cowherd boy. So his previous life was extraordinary. And he came for certain purposes. And people who don't, because he appears ordinary, then he can't be understood. Avajananti mamana manushim taram ashritam. The foolish, they think that he has taken shelter of a body, just like people think that they have taken shelter of the body. In fact, they don't even think they've taken shelter of a body. They think that they are a body. When you become a little more elevated, you realize I'm inside the body. I'm not the body, I'm not the mind, I'm something else. So people who are not full of knowledge, they think that Krishna or Lord Chaitanya has taken shelter of a body. But when he comes, he's got a lot to do. He's not just playing around. He is playing around, but he's got a great mission. So what's his mission? What are those famous verses? What's Krishna's mission? What's he got to achieve? What's Lord Chaitanya got to achieve when he comes? Paritranaya saranam, vinashaya taduskritam. Paritranaya means he's giving all-round protection to the sadhus, and he is thwarting those who are duskritina. Like the word, like kara, the hand is like kara, you do something. So those who do bad things, he wants to dispel that. That's a very famous verse in the Bhagavad Gita. In the first song, not this one, the previous one, we also heard what his purpose was. What was his purpose? What was Lord Chaitanya's purpose? What was the words used? Patita pavana hetu, tara avatar. You have come to save the fallen people, which is everybody. Because first we hear about Paritranaya. Okay, he's come to save the sadhus, and he's going to thwart the miscreants. Okay, so he's got some a categorization of people he's going to pay attention to, but that verse is he's going to save everybody, because either you're a sadhu or you're fallen, and the Lord's going to save you. Now, there's a few verses in the Srimad Bhagavatam. The Srimad Bhagavatam and the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya are intimately interconnected. Lord Chaitanya often quotes from the Srimad Bhagavatam. Sometimes he goes into ecstasy, hearing those verses. And the Srimad Bhagavatam, thank you, is non-different than Lord Krishna. So in those verses, he gives us other insights. Queen Kunti, she prays, Govinda, Godvija, Sura, Arta, Hara, Avatar. Again, the word avatar. Avatar means one who crosses over. Crosses over. So Krishna leaves, Lord Chaitanya leaves the beautiful realm of the spiritual world. He crosses over and comes amongst us. And what's his purpose? Govinda, go, cows. Cow. In Scotland, I think you say cow. So it's very sounds like go. So you remember, go, cow. There's a great link there. And the word is connected to go of cows. Govinda, go, Dvija. Dvija means those who are twice born. Generally, its high level means those who are brahmanas, or can also mean those who are kshatriyas, those who are vaishyas. Go, Dvija, Sura, and the demigods. Arta, Hara. Hara means he takes away. We passed a restaurant today when we were kind of leaving the Harinam, and it said Hara. I can't remember the other words, but I know, oh, Hara, it's a takeaway. It was a takeaway restaurant. So Hara means takes away, and what did he take away? He takes away the wants of the cows, the brahmanas, and the devotees. Other verses, the cows are linked with the brahmanas, the demigods, the Vedas. They're on that categorization. So Lord Chaitanya is coming to save everybody, and he's coming particularly to save the brahmanas, and he's also got a place for the cows. But sometimes there's an emergency situation. You've got to get a beachhead. As I was joining this movement, I was based in Arbroath, I was in a company that deals with oil rig security. But as I was leaving, one devotee, he invited me to leave the Marines and help set up a community somewhere in Scotland of friends of Krishna. So just as I was leaving the Marine, they were all mobilizing to go to the Falklands, to retake the Falklands War. So the first thing you got to do is you got to create a bridgehead. You got to create you got to get the beaches, and you got to create a secure base. And then from there, you can build up your military and go on your endeavor. So similarly, there's a great urgency to create a stable society of devotees. And sometimes we're calling, Haribol! And the devotees answer, and they come, and they join the ranks of the temple. And then there are those who got no idea about Krishna, and they need some persuasion and encouragement. So our movement is focusing on giving people the opportunity to come in contact with the devotees and engage in their life. Engage in the life of devotees. But then you start to read in the Srimad Bhagavatam, everywhere there's cows. Vraja, the place that we worship, means the place where cows are wandering. And cows are an important part of this universal status. Cows, brahmanas, demigods. There's something about them. So, and Srila Prabhupada, he unpacked for us. He gave us how to interpret these scriptures in a practical way. And he says, with every temple, there should be a farm producing food and flowers and vegetables and milk and dairy products. Previously, fire yogas was a very important element of society, of progress. Now, today, we don't often have so many fire yogis with swaha, but we have fire yogis every day. We offer arti to the deities. So that fire, that ghee, that ceremony is still part of our lives. The whole world has a relationship with cows, practically speaking, but none of them know about cow protection. Only the devotees of Krishna have the concept of Gouraksha, not just cow keeping, because everyone's keeping. You got the field of people keeping cows, but they don't know the concept of Gouraksha. Only the devotees of Krishna, only the devotees of Lord Chaitanya have that concept of cow protection. Those who have other scriptures, doesn't matter. Those who got no scriptures, doesn't matter. Cows, they kill their cows. But the devotees of Krishna have this idea that cows have a special status because not only are they connected to Krishna, but everything about them is benevolent. So our society, our Krishna conscious society, gradually, although it's kind of creaking, like each of us has to have a service. We have to help this mission in our favorite way. So for me, I've chosen this field of cow protection to remind the devotees, remind the temples that somehow or other, we got to get these cows reintegrated into our society and live the life of cow protection, and then other people may take note. So I'm very convinced that the appearance of Lord Chaitanya and cow protection is intimately connected with the mission of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So we have to go out there, make more devotees of Krishna, spread Krishna consciousness, then cow protection will have a chance. Hare Krishna. Questions? Maybe one or two questions, if there are any. Otherwise, we'll end. Maybe.
Some farms now are catching on to the idea that at least they section off some of the field, and those cows aren't harmed, and people pay extra for the milk. Is that right? That's going on a wide scale, or?
No, very, 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 very minuscule level, and oftentimes people they only keep them for a certain point. Actually, it's a very live issue. It's like when cows cows will get sick and cows will get old. And cow protectors, they give special attention to the nursing and the medical attention of their cows. So even if someone keeps a cow in their field in a corner and don't kill it, at some point they will kill it for economic and medical issues because they don't have the philosophical underpinning. We don't kill cows because the cow is simply a body enclosing a soul. But if a farmer doesn't have that concept, he might do it to get some kind of good PR. But that idea that there's a soul in that cow, it's not known. So sometimes people have sold slaughter-free milk, but later on they change their mind and they slaughter the cows. So unless you have the grounding, the solid philosophical grounding of being a devotee of Krishna and the soul and the soul connection with Krishna, ultimately you don't have the grounding to thoroughly protect the cows. And we're seeing it very practically. Anything else? Thank you all. Hare Krishna.
So we're going to chant the Shikshastakam. Danny, do you want to come over and read it? Are you going to play as well or just sing it? Hey, Rajesh, I think your car's the flatbed, isn't it? Is blocked. Oh yeah. Okay. It's just Paul has to get out. Your wife's going to take.
चेतो दर्पणमार्जनं भवमहादावाग्नि निर्वापनं श्रेयकैरवचन्द्रिका वितरणं विद्यावधूजीवनम् आनन्दाम्बुदिवर्धनं प्रतिपदं पूर्णामृतस्वादनम् सर्वात्मा स्नपनं परं विजयते श्रीकृष्ण संकीर्तनम् नाम्नामकारविबुधा निज सर्वशक्तिस्तत्रार्पिता नियमितः स्मरणेन कालः एतादृशी तव कृपा भगवन् ममापि दुर्दैवमिदृशं विहाजनिनानुरागः तृणादपि सुनीचेन तरोरपि सहिष्णुना अमानिना मान्यदेन कीर्तनीय सदा हरिं न धनं न जनं न सुन्दरीं कवतं वा जगदीश कामये मम जन्मनि जन्मनीश्वरे भवताद् भक्तिरहेतुकी त्वयि हैनन्दतनुजा किङ्करं पतितं मां विषमे भवाम्बुधौ कृपया तव पादपङ्कज स्थितधूलिसदृशं विचिन्तया नयनं गलदश्रुधारया वदनं गद्गदरुद्धया गिरा पुलकैर्निजितं वपु कदा तव नाम ग्रहणे भविष्यति युगायितं निमेषेण चक्षुषा प्रावृषायितं शून्यायितं जगत्सर्वं गोविन्दविरहेण मे आश्लिष्य वा पादरतां पिनष्टु माम् अदर्शनामर्महतां करोतु वा यथा तथा वा विदधातु लम्पटो मत्प्राणनाथस्तु स एव नापरा प्रभुभुरा शिक्षाष्टकश्लोकये पदशून्ये कृष्णप्रेम भक्ति तराबदे दिने दिने हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
It says that he gave only 8 verses, but I believe he also composed Jagannatashtakam. So this is the whole philosophy of Krishna consciousness. As we know that Lord Chaitanya is taking the lowest to the highest, and this Shastakam or 8 verses is the whole process for going from the most what do you say, fallen condition to the topmost condition, topmost unconditional devotional service. So would you like to recite the
Glory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtana, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life, of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtana movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss, and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious.
O my Lord, your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names, like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you have invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of kindness you enable us to easily approach you by your holy names, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them.
One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly.
O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I desire any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service, birth after birth.
O son of Maharaj Nanda, Krishna, I am your eternal servitor. Yet somehow or other I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet.
O my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with the tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up, and when will the hairs of my body stand on the end at the
If the devotees don't know these verses, it's good to memorize them. Many devotees, the first thing they do in the morning is recite these verses. And if you study these and meditate on them, then you can see how the whole philosophy of Krishna consciousness is contained within there, starting from the beginning of cleansing the mirror of the mind, all the way through up to unconditional devotional service. And showing us the mood that we should have, Trinadapi, the things that we should avoid, Nadanam, Najanam, Nasundarim, and the attitude that we should have. So now we're going to sing a couple of songs by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Arunodaya Kirtans, parts 1 and 2. And I'll try and play it and sing it if I can remember, unless someone else can play the harmonium while I just sing it. Whatever, and I'll find it. And the Madanga is in the 1 2. Okay. I'll give you his key. Okay. Udilo Aruna Pura Babage Tujamani Gora Mani Jage Bhakata Samuhaloya Satigela Nagara Braje Loya Sati Tatai Tatai Bajalako Gana Gana Tahi Chajiraro Tatai Bajaloko Gana Gana Tahi Chajiraro Bimi dalla dalla sonaranga charane nupura paje Mukunda Madhava Yadava Hari Bolena Bolore Vadana Bodhi Michene Dabashe Gelore Rati Divasa Sharira Sache Hemana Dulaba Manava Deho Hayaki Koro Bhavana Keho Hayaki Koro Bhavana Ebina Bajile Yashoda Sutta Charame Pori Belaje Udita Tapana Hoile Asta Dinagelo boli hoi bibyasta. Tabike noe bi alasa hoi nabajari doya raje. Jivana anicca janasa tahina navida vipadapar. Namashraya kori jatane tu mitakaha apanakaje. Jivera kayana shadanakam jagate ashi e maduranam. Avidya timira tapana rupe hridagagane viraje. Hridagagane viraje. Krishna nam shuddha koriyapan Jurao bhakati vinoda pran. Nama bina kichu nahi ko aru chauda bhuvana maje. We'll have the translation and then we'll do part 2 because that's a different timing. When the rising sun appeared in the east, the jewel of the twice-born, Lord Gaura Sundar awakened, and taking his devotees with him, he went all over the countryside, towns and villages. The Madangas, coal, resounded tatai tatai, and the jajas, large metal kartals that looked like small cymbals, or in ISKCON we call them wampers, which sounds like a very kind of Americanized name, doesn't it? In that kirtan played in time, Lord Gouranga's golden form slightly trembled in ecstatic love of Godhead, and his foot bells jingled. All the devotees chanted the names Mukunda, Madhava, Yadava, and Hari, their mouths being filled with the vibrations. They would announce to the still sleeping people, "You spend your nights uselessly sleeping and your days decorating your bodies." So, just going back to that. So, we could take from this, either the people were sleeping and they were going around very early in the morning, getting them up out of their bed, which is probably not the best thing to do in the West. You know, if we get up at 4 in the morning, we decide to have kirtan down the street and wake up all the neighbours singing Jeev Jago. Or else, the still sleeping is that because if they were sleeping, perhaps they wouldn't be able to hear this, but if they were, years ago, there was a devotee who came here some time ago. What was his name? He did night dream, daydream. No, it wasn't Mangalananda. Havi. It was Havi Prabhu. Night dream, daydream. So even sometimes people are awake apparently during the day, but they're living in a dream. So this can have twofold measures. First of all, people are sleeping too long. They're lying in their bed when they should be up at the Mangal, the Brahma Muhurta, the very auspicious time. And then second, when they get up, they're still living in a dream. So Lord Chaitanya and his associates, they were asking him to wake up out of this. You spend your nights uselessly sleeping and your days decorating your dead bodies or your bodies. Prabhupada says, what is the value of decorating a dead body? And the body is dead, it's never alive. Next one, please. You've achieved such a rare human body, but you do not care for this gift. So this human body is a gift. You remain not serving the darling of Yashoda and slowly fall through your last moments to death. So people are thinking they have so much time. Even sometimes people think, well, I'll take up reading Bhagavad Gita later on. That's for old people. Do that when you're retired. But some people don't even get that far. And then when you're retired, you'll think, oh, I should have started earlier. Too late. You can't wind the clock back. So with every rising and setting of the sun, a day passes and is lost. Then why do you remain idle and not serve the Lord of the heart? This temporary life is full of various miseries. Take shelter of the holy name as your only business. So this is the main mission of the Lord, is to take the holy name to everybody. And this is the alarm clock which will wake them from their slumber. To penetrate the darkness of ignorance and bless everyone's heart, the holy name has arisen like the shining sun. So when the sun comes up, darkness just automatically disappears. So when the holy name is there present, then automatically people become attracted to Krishna. I remember people sometimes would meet you on the street and say, why did you come to Krishna consciousness? And you could say so many things, but the main thing is Krishna is actually all attractive. And because of that, then we become attracted. Before that, we're attracted to Krishna's external energy, and then we become attracted to Krishna through his internal energy in one form or another. Drink the pure nectar of the holy name of Krishna. There's nothing but the name to be had in the 14 worlds. It has filled the soul of Sri Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So elsewhere, Bhaktivinoda Thakur also says there's only two things which have any substance in this world. What are those two things? The jiva and the holy name. Everything else doesn't have any real substance. So we'll sing the next one. Jiv Jago. Jiv Jago, Jiv Jago. Oh, that's a different one. Jiv Jago, Jiv Jago. Gaura Chanda Bole. Everybody. Kota nidra jao maya pishachira kole. Kota nidra jao maya Bajibo boli aishe samsara bitare. Buliaro hele to me avidyara bhade. Om Mare Lo Eti Ame Hoina Avatara. Ame Bina Bandhuhara Kiache Tomara. Ame Bina Inechi Al Shadi Maya Nashi Barolagi. Inechi Al Shadi Maya Nashi Barolagi. Hari Nama Maha Mantra Lahu to me Magi. Bhakti Vinoda Prabhu Charane Pariya. Say Hari Nama Mantra Lohi Lo Magiya. Jeev Jago, Gaura Chanda Bole. Kota Nidra Jao Maya Pisachira Kole. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Gauranita, Jaya Gauranita, Gauranita, Jaya Gauranita. Jaya Gauranita, Jaya Mayapur Shashi, Jaya Gauranita, Jaya Mayapur Shashi. Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo.
Jayo Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada.
Srila Prabhupada ki, Shishikun Mahaprabhu ki. Ki jai. So when we sing Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, what does that mean? I'm sure you all know. Yeah, I think you're all saying the same thing. And when we were young Bhaktas, the translation we had in our song sheet was, everyone follow in the footsteps of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda and chant the holy names. So when we say Nitai Gaur Haribol, then we've been invited to follow in their footsteps. And Srila Prabhupada said that this Krishna consciousness movement, the whole essence of this Krishna consciousness movement is so simple that we could miss it. Would anyone like to add anything to that? It doesn't mean to say you've missed it if you add anything to it. So basically, it's beginning with Shravanam Kirtanam. You know, as we see, there's a lot of stuff going on about Kirtan just now, but without the focus on the hearing, really absorbing hearing, then the Kirtan, it shouldn't become just like parrot fashion. Like the parrot can learn how to chant, but when the cat comes, it doesn't chant. It squawks. So our chanting should be so deep, and we take shelter in the chanting, as Bhaktivinoda Thakur was saying. There's nothing but the holy name in the 14 worlds. So 14 worlds, he's referring to 7 higher and 7 lower planetary systems. So we're in the middle. That doesn't mean to say, okay, there's a loophole, there must be something on the earthly planet then. But Maya has us thinking that there's always something to chase. And we've become half mad by chasing after Maya, chasing the will of the wisp, or chasing a mirage in the desert. This is mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam, that sometimes the illusion of land seen on water or water seen on land, when people become deluded, then they see these things and they chase after them, and it further creates difficulty for them. So I'll just read the translation to this, which you probably have heard many times. Lord Gouranga is calling, wake up, sleeping souls, wake up, sleeping souls. How long will you sleep in the lap of the witch called Maya? Sometimes we ask ourselves that question, isn't it? How long will I remain attached to this Maya? There was one disciple who went to his spiritual master very distressed, and he said, Maya won't let go of me. You know, I tried to get free from Maya, but she just won't let go. So his spiritual master stood up, ran outside the temple, and the disciple thought, you know, what have I said? You know, I offended Guruji. So he followed him outside, and his spiritual master had put his arms around a tree, and he was shouting, let go, let go. So his disciple got the message that we're holding on to Maya, but we're thinking Maya won't let go of us. But here, Lord Chaitanya is making it very clear that we've decided to, he's asking us, how long will you sleep in the lap of the witch called Maya? You have forgotten the way of devotional service and are lost in the world of birth and death. I have descended just to save you. Other than myself, you have no friend in this world. So this is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the Bhagavad Gita, there's also another. Does anyone remember that verse? where Krishna says he's the friend of everyone. Sarvalokimeshwaram, Suridam Sarvabhutanam. So of all the living entities, Sarvabhutanam, all the living entities, Suridam, he's the well-wishing friend, and he's always our well-wisher. But sometimes, just like children, they don't appreciate the parents. Any children here sometimes don't appreciate their parents? Don't want to embarrass you or anything. Any parents think that sometimes the children don't appreciate them? You're trying to do something good for them, and they don't know it's very good. Just like I remember at school, they used to give us the strap, which was like a leather belt you get in the hand. And sometimes the teacher would say, "This will hurt me more than it hurts you." And I felt like saying, "Well, give it to me and I'll give it to you then." But that wasn't going to happen. So in other words, sometimes the parent, the teacher, or the guru, they don't like to chastise or correct or some way or another restrict, but for the purpose of learning, then that might be there. And for the purpose of learning, we come into this world and we fall into Maya, but we don't seem to learn, even though we suffer. In Kali Yuga, mostly people's intelligence is stolen by illusion. So it's explained that first-class intelligence is what? Can someone tell me what is first-class intelligence? Yep, you hear it and you accept it and you do it. That's it. You hear it and you very clearly understand. And second-class intelligence is? That's third class. Yeah, there's one in between. So basically, we hear the material world's a place of suffering, and we think, okay, I won't get involved in it. Second is we hear material world's a place of suffering, and we see people suffering and think, yeah, that makes sense. And third class intelligence is? No, maybe you are. But third class is that we hear material world is a place of suffering, we see people suffering, we also experience it, and then we acknowledge me, and then we stop pursuing it. And then the next one is not fourth class, it's 10th class. Prabhupada kind of jumps from third to 10th just to show how much of a difference is that we hear the material world is a place of suffering, we see people suffering, we suffer ourselves, but we don't give it up. So this is the type of puggle or craziness that material energy makes of us. Now, whatever your poison is in this material world, it could be anything. I've seen devotees leave the movement to go and watch the World Cup, and then after it was over, they come back again. And it was funny because some devotees were thinking, imagine leaving for the World Cup, and then one of those devotees left to play computer games. And someone's thinking, now why leave to play computer games? But the thing is, one person's food is another's poison. So we might see that someone's in illusion and think, why would you give up Krishna for that? But then they might look at you and think, why would you give up for that? But it's just another guise of Maya. And as Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, the material energy is endlessly mutable. So we can see sometimes poking in the rubble of the past, as Mangalananda puts it, that we try to find out the truth. But the truth is that those living entities then and after and since and here and now and future are simply engaged in this eating, sleeping, mating and defending. And therefore, whatever civilizations were there, unless they were God conscious, Krishna conscious, then they would simply be chewing the chewed. Each generation comes along and they think what we're going to do is better than what our parents were doing. And parents don't understand. They're just old fuddy-duddies or whatever else you want to call them. But when the youngsters get older and they become parents, and then the young people come along and they think, what do they know? So this is called Chewing the Chewed. We think this is new. Just like when we were young, there was a style of music came out called punk rock or new wave. And so all the youngsters at that time were enthusiastic about it. And I think at that time I was still going to church, and the priest said to me, there's nothing new about what you're doing. There's only 8 notes in a scale. There's only so many configurations. I said, well, thanks for bursting my bubble. But it did stick with me while I was still trying to enjoy. I thought, yeah, it's probably whatever tunes we put together, it's been put together already. And so in this way, we were simply doing what the predecessors did, thinking it's something new, and Maya makes us think like that. But this is called Chewing the Chewed. That in India, you'll see sometimes people by the roadside, and they'll have this contraption where you put sugarcane through this press, and out the other side comes sugarcane juice. And if someone can't afford the sugarcane juice, then they might come along and find the already pressed sugarcane and try to get some pleasure out of it. But the pleasure's already been taken. It's already been squeezed out of it. And they may discard it, and someone else may come along and try to enjoy it, but the pleasure's not to be found there. The rasa, in fact, this is what they call it, isn't it? When you get the juice out of the sugarcane, they call it ras. It means taste. So the taste is not to be found within the discarded material world, which is what we're in. This is like a desert in that sense. I have descended just to save you. Other than myself, you have no friend in this world. So Krishna's came here to remind us that we have this relationship with him and that he's our eternal friend. Sometimes we find a friend in the material world and we get let down, and sometimes we let other people down. We may or may not be aware of it, but this happens. But Krishna doesn't let us down. Sometimes we'll take shelter in Krishna, and sometimes we'll give up taking shelter in Krishna. But he's still patiently waiting there because he is our eternal friend. I have brought the medicine that will wipe out the disease of illusion from which you are suffering. Inichi Aushadi Maya. So this Aushadi, or medicine, is the disease, the cure for the disease of Maya. And simply, what is that medicine? It is the Maha Mantra: Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, I fall at the Lord's feet having taken this Maha Mantra. So this is the main thing, just to take it. And taking it means that we continue to take it. Prabhupada says that if you try to chant at least 16 rounds a day on the beads and unlimited off the beads. So if you're only able to chant, maybe not everybody here is chanting 16 rounds at the moment, but whatever you're chanting, keep that up. That's just the minimum you do in the beads, but throughout the day, you can just chant the whole time. So I was told that in Dundee back in, I'm not sure exactly what year it was, but apparently it was the first temple. I later on found out from, what's his name? Devotee who had the temple in Maryhill Road. Begins with a D. He comes here sometimes. I'm sure someone is a disciple of him here. Just some names. He wrote a book about some children's stories. Okay, that's enough. Huh? No. Dear Shanta, yeah, Dear Shantaraj. Yeah, so I was led to believe that Dundee was the first temple in Scotland, but Dear Shantaraj told us no, it was one in Maryhill Road, actually. And he got chased out of there, which is no big surprise. It's interesting also that Prabhupada did his program in Maryhill in, what do you call it again? Woodside Halls, yeah. So they had this temple in Dundee. It was a squat, and I think the devotees had taken a donation of electricity, so they had some kind of civilization going on in there. But I remember doing Sankirtan in Dundee many years ago, back in the 80s, and someone said, oh, we knew some Hare Krishnas back here in the late 60s, early 70s, and they used to go fruit picking because the Tayside Valley is famous for soft fruit. So they used to go picking fruit and they'd be chanting and dancing their song all day long. And it was very much made a big impression on this person. These young devotees were just chanting all day long. So this is how we keep this Krishna conscious bubble there, is by remembering Krishna. And the easiest way to remember Krishna is by chanting his name. Also, when we're doing service, we don't look at it in a mundane way. We think this service is related to Krishna, what I'm doing. Just like before the devotees come today, then some other devotees are cutting vegetables or cleaning toilets, things like that. Now, if you take Krishna conscious out of the equation, then it's just like a mundane activity, isn't it? And we pick and choose, oh, I don't want to clean toilets, I don't want to cut vegetables, I only want to do the nice things. But when you put Krishna in the center, then we can do anything. So in this way, the devotees are not fixed into any type of caste. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he came, he broke through that caste system. So originally, and he's not contradicting caste system because he created it, isn't it? In the Bhagavad Gita, we have a verse related to that. What's that verse? Chatur Varna Mayashishtam Guna Karma Vibhagasa. So these 4 social and spiritual orders were created by me, and they are determined by guna and karma, by one's qualities and by one's activities. So if anyone's got a right to reject the caste system, then it would be the person who created the original Varnashram system, which is Krishna himself, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nahayanya. The Lord Chaitanya is Krishna himself in the mood of Srimati Radharani. In that compassionate mood, then his mission is to save all the living entities. And he's not considering, well, I only save the ones in particular castes, and the other ones will have to wait till they get a better birth. Not like that. So if humans want to impose those type of restrictions, that's up to them, but it's a mental concoction. So just like this, we have the Goswamis. What does Goswami mean? One who controls their mind and senses, isn't it? Master of the mind and senses. But it has somehow or another it's become a family name. You think, well, how can you have Mr. and Mrs. Goswami and all the little Goswamis? But it's a fact. And also Maharaj is also, I'm not meaning to criticize anyone of that name that has been hereditary, but the real meaning of the name is it's a title given to someone who's actually come to that point of controlling the mind and senses. Same with Maharaj, you can get like Mr. and Mrs. Maharaj and all the little Maharajas. But this is meaning a great king. And great in Vedic terms means great saintly king, Rajrishi. Doesn't just mean someone who's got a great ego and has some great prowess in conquering other kingdoms, but the real Maharaj means someone who is abiding by the Vedic process. And what makes them great is that they're always considering the welfare of others. So Lord Chaitanya, Lord Brahma, he was asked by one of his sons, Pipalayana, that in Kali Yuga, how will the living entities be benefited? Now this is in the Chaitanya Upanishad of the Atharva Veda, which Bhaktivinoda Thakur, we sang a few Bhaktivinoda Thakur songs tonight. And it's if you don't know much about Bhaktivinoda Thakur, then he is the devotee who brought Gaudiya Vaishnavism back into the forefront. And he's the one who had the vision of the worldwide movement of devotees coming together in a huge temple in Mayapur, which is taking place. He was saying he had a vision. He was so in Mayapur there's a Ganges on one side and there's a Jalangi River on the other side. And so across from Mayapur, if you go there and visit ISKCON Mayapur, you'll see across the Jalangi Bhaktivinoda Thakur's house. You can go there; it's still there, and you can go into the room and look out the veranda and see where he had that vision, and you'll see the temple coming into being, which is what he envisioned. And he was saying, I long for the day when all the American, Russian, British, Japanese, Chinese Vaishnavas will come together and chant. So this is by his desire, by his strong desire. And this is the desire of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he spread, actually on the year of Srila Prabhupada's birth, Bhaktivinoda Thakur had a couple of years off, and in that period of time, 1896, he sent an introduction to the teachings of Lord Chaitanya to McGill University in Canada and many other places around the world. And somehow or another, devotees, when, like 100 years later, just about, when Prabhupada brought the Krishna conscious movement to the West, then they discovered some of these pamphlets still in McGill University. And so we were just leading up to Gaura Purnima, we were discussing the mission of Lord Chaitanya, and this mission to take the holy name to every town and village. It was started by, or most recently within the last 150 years or so, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he established over 500 namahatas. Namahatas is marketplace of the holy name, or where devotees will come together and chant and hear and learn about Krishna. What's that song? Nadia Gadrumi Nityananda Mahajan, Patiyachi Nam Hata Jivere Karan. So Lord Nityananda has opened the marketplace of the holy name. He's asking simply for the 1 paisa of faith. So back in mid-80s, there used to be this newspaper called the ISKCON World Review. Was it ISKCON World Review? And devotees had discovered that practically 100 years before, Namahatas, which Bhaktivinoda Thakur had established in West Bengal and other areas in that vicinity, that Namahatas he had inaugurated were still running. People were gathering in their villages to chant the holy names of the Lord, and they were worshipping Lord Chaitanya, and they were following teachings of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. This was still going on. And since then, Jai Patak Maharaj and other devotees have opened thousands and thousands of Namahata Sanghas, or meeting places where devotees come together to chant. So therefore, where you all come from, where there's devotees in your area, then make little groups, little Namahat Sanghas. This is the authorized way of spreading the movement. And we can give some guidelines on that if you like. So simply, Lord Chaitanya is giving Golokera Premadan Harinam Sankirtan. In this Kali Yuga, Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda have descended. Previously they were Krishna and Balaram, and they've decided to come down here. So as we were saying, people asked Lord Brahma, how will the living entities be benefited in Kali Yuga? How will they be saved? And Lord Brahma says, in the age of Kali, the Supreme Lord himself, Krishna, the cause of all causes, will descend in the guise of a devotee, and he will spread the chanting of his own holy names, Hare, Krishna and Rama, and he'll be known as Chaitanya. So this is clearly mentioned in the Atharva Veda. So this is a very much authorized movement, and stick with it, because with that authority becomes the connection and the protection of Lord Chaitanya. And so now we'll ask everybody to stand, and we'll have Gaura Arti. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki, Shri Gauranga Mama Hotsava ki, Shri Shri Kontama Prashashi ki.